This week sees the release of iOS 18.4, and I don't normally cover point releases like this because they usually don't come with much in the way of changes or improvements, but there is quite a lot to look at this time around. No, we don't get the all-new Siri that we were long promised, but if you've got a fairly new iPhone, you're going to see some interesting changes and additions. So with that in mind, let's take a look at 10 new features and changes coming to your iPhone. Okay, let's get into it. A feature available on all iPhones that support iOS 18 is the new Ambient Music mini app. This is a dedicated app that gives you quick access to ambient audio at the push of a button. It's designed for the moments where you want to focus, relax, or just fill the silence with something low key in the background. There are 4 main playlists to choose from: sleep, chill, productivity, and well-being, and within each of these there are several sub-playlists that you can configure depending on what sort of mood or activity you're after. There are a few ways to enable this. First, go to Control Centre and enter edit mode either by pressing the plus button in the top left corner or by long pressing and choosing add a control. Scroll down and you'll see the ambient music section. You can choose any of the main playlist categories to add to Control Centre. Once you've added a playlist, let's say productivity, you can tap into it while still in edit mode and select from options like momentum beats, ambient focus, lo-fi study, or piano flow. You do the same for sleep, chill, or well-being if you wanted to set up those too. From that point, it's just a case of opening Control Centre and tapping on your chosen button to instantly start playback. When you tap into Now Playing, you'll see that it opens in a familiar Apple Music style player, but this isn't part of the Apple Music app. You can't tap into the artists, you can't change the playlist once it's started. It is essentially a streamlined playback tool. That might feel like a bit of a missed opportunity, but maybe Apple will expand the functionality in future updates. You can also add this control to your lock screen. With iOS 18, lock screen buttons are now a thing, and you can assign ambient music to one of those for quick access. And if you have an iPhone with an action button like the 15 Pro or any of the iPhone 16 models, you can set ambient music as the action that the button triggers. Go to Settings, choose Action Button, swipe almost all the way across to the control option and select Ambient Music. Tap Configure and you'll be able to set the specific playlist that you want it to launch. It's a quick and easy way to fill the space around you with background audio, whether you're trying to sleep, concentrate, or just unwind. If we head into the Photos app, there are a few new features that help make the experience a little bit more streamlined. Starting with the media types and utility sections, which are 2 of the parts of the Photos app that I actually really like. If you tap into one of these sections now, you'll notice an edit button in the top right corner. Tapping on this allows you to reorder the different categories within that section using the drag handles on the right. You can't remove any of the options in here, but what you can do is make sure that the types of media that you care about most, like screenshots, videos, or screen recordings in my case, are right at the top. That way you're not constantly scrolling past things like RAW, animated, or time-lapse, which for many people are rarely used. There's also a reset button in the top left if you want to return everything back to its default order, and you can just tap Done once you're happy with the layout. Also, if you go into the Albums view, or even Shared Albums, you'll now see a new menu in the top right. Tap into that and you can switch between List View, which is the layout that we've had until now, and Key Photo View, which is new. This offers a much more visual look at your albums, showing some of the key images contained within them. It's more engaging and, in my opinion, a much better way to browse through your photo collections. And finally, in the main library view, tap the View Options button in the bottom left. That's the one with the up and down arrows. Tap into Filter and you'll see a couple of extra options here now. One is Shared with You, which will only show photos and videos that have been shared with you by other people. The other is Not in an Album, which is exactly what it sounds like. It filters your library to show only the media that hasn't been organized into an album yet. It's small changes like these that don't seem like a big deal on their own, but taken together, they do improve how you use and navigate the Photos app. Do you ever feel like you're only scratching the surface of what your iPhone can do? Do you find it hard to remember all of the tips and tricks that people show you, or that you watch in YouTube videos like this? If so, you should definitely check out the brand new training portal that I've just launched, iPhone Essentials Plus. It's more than 100 tips for the iPhone, with another 100 being added over the next few weeks, covering every aspect of your iPhone. Each module contains lessons, and each lesson contains a tutorial video, a step-by-step guide with screenshots, and a downloadable PDF. So no matter how you like to learn, you're covered. You can work through each lesson in order, or you can pick and choose what you want to learn at any given time. There's no ads, no sponsors, just content, and you can access it on your iPhone or your tablet or home computer. Plus, no monthly subscription. This is a one-time only payment with lifelong access to all of the content, including all future updates. If this sounds good to you, scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description of this video. In July of last year, I made the not entirely sensible decision to purchase a Vision Pro, and if you did too, you'll notice a new app appear on your iPhone called Vision Pro. My assumption is that this will be downloaded automatically if your Apple ID is already linked to a Vision Pro headset. I say that because when I checked my demo accounts that don't have a Vision Pro associated with them, the app didn't show up, but on my main account, where I do own one, the app appeared right away. Now, to be honest, the app itself isn't particularly exciting. When you open it up, the top section is called My Vision Pro, and tapping into this gives you access to your device's serial number and current software version. You can also set up personalized spatial audio from here and view your prescription lens inserts, which interestingly are also recorded in the Health app. You'll also find some basic tips about how to use the device, including guidance on fit and care, but the bulk of the app is really just focused on content discovery. So as you scroll down, you'll see links to film and TV shows on Apple TV, games that are compatible with Vision Pro, and other bits of content that you might want to download straight to the headset. My only gripe here is that I'd love a bit more integration between the iPhone app and Vision Pro. For example, it would be great if I could open up my photo library, pick a regular 2D image, convert it into a spatial photo, and have that show up automatically on my headset. Maybe that's something that Apple will add in a future update, but for now, the app is mostly just a companion hub for content and device information. If you're enjoying the content here, why not sign up for my weekly newsletter, which is all about tech news and tips delivered free to your inbox each Friday. Sign up via the QR code on screen or the link in the description. The News app now includes a News Plus food channel, and honestly, it's a really nice addition, especially if you're someone who already subscribes to News Plus or you've got it bundled in with your iCloud plan like I do. To check it out, open the News app and tap the following tab in the bottom right corner. Somewhere near the top of that page, you should see a section called Food. Tap into it, and that takes you into the dedicated News Plus food area. At the top of the screen, you'll see two main options: Recipe Catalog and Saved Recipes. If you head into the recipe catalog, you can either use the search bar to look for something specific or browse through the categories using the buttons at the top. Everything here is curated from a range of reputable news outlets, and once you find a recipe that catches your eye, you can tap into it to see the full details. One of the nicest touches is how the recipes are laid out. Clean, minimal, straight to the point. You'll usually see an overview first, then a clearly presented list of ingredients, and finally the directions. There's even a clever little integration with the clock app. If you scroll down and see anything that includes a specific time, you'll notice it's tappable. Tap on it and your phone will offer to start a timer for you right then and there, which is a really smart touch for when you're actually cooking. Another feature I quite like is that you can tap on individual ingredients to grey them out. It's a subtle detail, but really handy either when you're shopping or if you're working your way through the recipe while cooking. That said, I think this would have been even better if there was some proper integration with the Reminders app. Being able to add the ingredients straight into a shopping list would really elevate the experience. And finally, if you find a recipe that you want to keep, just tap the Save button at the top and it'll be added to your saved recipes. It's not a revolutionary feature, but if you're into food and already have access to News Plus, this could be just enough to make you start using the app a bit more regularly. When you go into the search or address bar in Safari, it will normally show your recent searches, which can be helpful, but also a bit of a privacy concern if you're sharing your device or you just don't want that list visible all the time. Now, you do have the option to clear that list entirely, but it's a one-time thing. Once it's cleared, there's no going back. Thankfully, with a new feature in iOS 18.4, you've now got a much better option. You can hide those recent searches without actually deleting them. Just go to Settings, scroll down and tap into Apps, then choose Safari. Under the search section, you'll see a toggle for Show Recent Searches. Simply disable that. Now when you tap into the address bar, your recent searches won't show, but they're still saved in the background. And if you change your mind later, you can just go back into Settings and turn the toggle back on to make sure that those searches are visible again. It's a neat way to keep your browsing a bit more private without losing access to your search history entirely. Okay, a quick heads up. Every tip from this point forward either needs Apple Intelligence or is exclusive to the iPhone 16, but I'll flag which applies to which as we go. First up, this one is for phones that support Apple Intelligence. There are some new Siri options available in Control Centre, and they give you quicker access to a few smart features. If you open Control Centre, enter Edit Mode, then tap Add a Control and scroll down, you'll see a new section dedicated to Apple Intelligence and Siri. From here, you can add a shortcut to Visual Intelligence, which lets you access Apple's new visual tools without needing to use voice commands. You can also add Type to Siri, which is a great option if you prefer typing your requests instead of speaking them. That's especially useful because the current shortcut for Type to Siri isn't the most intuitive and does seem to trip a lot of people up. Lastly, you've got the standard Talk to Siri option here too. It works the same way as any other access method, but it gives you another convenient way to get to it depending on how you use your phone. Just pick whichever one suits how you use your iPhone day to day. Speaking of visual intelligence, if you're running Apple Intelligence on an iPhone 15 Pro, you can now map visual intelligence directly to the action button. So even though the iPhone 16 range comes with its own dedicated camera control button, this gives iPhone 15 Pro users a really solid workaround. To set it up, go to Settings, then choose Action Button. Swipe across through the options. It's about the fourth one along, and you'll see the option to assign visual intelligence. Once that's done, you can just point your phone at something, long press the action button, and visual intelligence will open. You'll have the same tools available as usual, the Ask button in the bottom left for running ChatGPT against what you're seeing, and the Search button in the bottom right to run a reverse image lookup using Google. This setup is probably going to benefit iPhone 15 Pro users the most, but if you've got a device from the iPhone 16 range, you can still make use of this feature by remapping your action button to visual intelligence too, if that's something you'd prefer over the default controls. Also, speaking of the camera control button, this one's only going to be relevant if you've got an iPhone 16. You can now customize what that button actually does. By default, pressing it will launch the camera app as you'd expect. But if you'd prefer it to do something else, you have got options. Go into Settings, scroll down and tap on Camera. At the top of this menu, choose Camera Control. And from here, you can select which app should launch when you press the button. It could be the built-in code scanner if you often scan QR codes. It could be the magnifier app, which is great for accessibility. Or if you're someone who's constantly using third-party camera apps like Instagram, for example, you can set it to open one of those instead. If you've got a phone that supports Apple Intelligence, there are now a couple of new notification options that you can take advantage of. Head into Settings, tap on Notifications, and you'll see a dedicated section for Apple Intelligence features. The first is Summarize Notifications. This one's been around a little while already, and it allows your iPhone to group notifications together and give you a brief summary of what they say. Apple does mention that this is a beta feature and it's not always going to be perfect. We've already seen a few high-profile slip-ups over the past few months, so do bear that in mind before enabling it. The other option is Prioritize Notifications. When this is switched on, your iPhone will use Apple Intelligence to highlight what it thinks are your most important notifications. These will show up in a separate section on the lock screen, so it's easier to catch up on anything that you've missed. This can be really useful if your lock screen is usually filled with stuff and you just want to see what actually matters. You can enable this as a general setting, but you can also scroll through the list of apps and fine-tune which ones are allowed to use this feature. So if you know there are some apps that constantly bombard you with updates that you don't care about, just disable prioritization for those apps. The final tip is about Image Playground, an app that, if I'm being totally honest, I used once or twice when Apple first released it and then never touched it again. That said, there is a new visual style that's been added to it. If you go into the app and generate an image, then tap on the image to bring it up full screen, you'll see a plus button in the bottom right corner. Tap on that and you'll now see a new sketch option. We already had animation and illustration as available styles, and now sketch has been added to the mix. Personally, I'm still not sold on Image Playground at all, but if you are someone who gets value from it, it's nice to know that there's now another visual style to experiment with. So there you go, 10 new features and changes coming to your iPhone with iOS 18.4. It is of course all a bit skewed towards iPhones with Apple Intelligence. Hopefully we'll have more to talk about in a couple of months when Apple shows off iOS 19 at WWDC. What do you think? Any changes here you're especially excited about? Drop me a comment and let me know. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.